Greetings, greetings, greetings. You're now tuned in to 13scienceastrology.com. I'll be your master of ceremony. My name is Ra Imhotep El. In this particular episode, we're going to discuss past lives. Many of us, we think to ourselves when we're in different life circumstances and situations, why me? Why did I get this lot in life? How did I fall into this circumstance? What God or what devil put me into this situation? And it's easy to point the finger. It's easy to blame it on outside circumstances. That's the easy thing to do. See, many of us have not been trained in the arts of the occult. We have not been trained into the arts of metaphysics. Many of us live a linear left brain lifestyle, whereas we look for evidence, proof, to prove things that are unexplainable. And the problem is that you're looking through the wrong side of your brain to interpret a lot of your life experiences. See, a lot of your life experiences come from the right side of the brain. A lot of your life experiences are not provable in this life. This is because of the fact that the things that happen on the outside of you are a mirror. That's right, a mirror. And you have what's called energy that's located within the chakra system, that's located within the auric field. And what happens is that you attract situations into your life that mirror your energy. So though the situation may look gruesome and you may be beautiful, the situation may look ugly and you may be handsome, the situation may be challenging and you may be a person that desires ease, you have to analyze and look at the tendencies and the energy that is operating with the side of your auric field, the energy that is operating with the side of your chakra system. And this is where past lives come into play at. This is where understanding the things that you've done or the things that you've experienced in a past life comes into play at. One of the key words in understanding past lives is understanding karma. See, we all have karma or karmic debt, some people will call it. And we also have what's called karmic credit. And karmic does not have to be negative. It is not always positive. Karma just means that what is. Many people, when they think about karma, they think about sin, they think about punishment, and they think about those particular terms. But when you analyze karma, what you'll find out is that the aspect of karma just means to make. Karma means to create what you created or what you made for yourself. And a lot of people, they don't understand why, for instance, they may be born into poverty in the middle of Haiti, under circumstances that are not favorable, living in a situation where they're in a hut, where they can't have access to electricity the way they may want to. Some people can't understand why they were born up under a single parent and their father was not present in their life and their father left them when they were at a young age, and they just can't seem to understand that. Another person may not understand why they just have this amazing gift and ability to play basketball, and at a young age they got an opportunity to join a basketball team and they were paid under the table, and they went from that team into a high school where the coach paid them under the table, and then they went to the NBA, into the pros, and they signed a $5 million contract. And they just can't seem to understand, why is all this happening to me, and how come that next person didn't have those opportunities. You first of all want to pat yourself on the back for the good karma that you have, and then you also want to not punish yourself, but you want to give yourself credit for, or not give yourself credit, but you want to analyze why you have negative karma. You want to analyze your energy as to why you have negative karma. You want to analyze your subconscious mind as to why you have what will be called or considered negative karma. A lot of people, they want proof as to, do past lives exist? Is this stuff really real? I need some type of proof, Ra, because I can't just sit up here and believe in a past life just because you said it was so, or I just can't accept that. And this is a subject and a topic that's very personal, very individualistic when you talk about past lives. And I can't really give you proof. There is proof that past lives exist, when you get into the deep versions of hypnosis, when you get into understanding your dreams and things of that nature, you'll find out that past lives exist. This is why a blind person, for instance, that couldn't see, never seen anything a day in their life, they're blind. So they don't know what this reality looks like. But it just seems as though when they go to sleep, or when they get hypnotized, or when they are put into this other state in their mind, they can see images. They can see houses. They can see cars. They see themselves in different bodies, walking around, interacting with beautiful women. It was said that Ray Charles, who was a blind man, was able to touch a woman's hand. He was able to pick up on the energy of that woman so effectively that he was able to see her beauty, as to know whether or not she was a beautiful woman or an ugly duckling, if you will. And it was said that Ray Charles was pretty. He had some beautiful women, believe it or not. And this man never seen anything a day in his life. So you would ask yourself, for if the eyes are responsible for seeing, if it's really truly the eyes that are responsible for seeing, how is a blind man or woman able to see images and things? And why are they recalling these things in their dreams and in their memories if they've never seen a thing? How are they able to do this? This is because of past lives. This is because in a past life they were able to see. This is because they put themselves in a situation where they were blind in this life for a certain experience. See, the situations you put yourself in are experiences. They're like a drama or a movie. They're theatrical. It's an episode. Your life is merely just an episode. And it's a part of a whole big old cycle. And the reason why you don't understand it and understand, there's many reasons why you don't. For one reason is that this society does not promote the understanding of past lives. This society only promotes to react to outside exoteric circumstances. This society is a reactionary society. It's not a society where you look back or even look too far forward. And you have to live in the now, don't get me wrong, but in living in the now, the proper way to do that from a spiritual level is to be able to take into account things that happen in your past in this life, as well as things that happen in your past and past lives, and to effectively couple that with your vision for the future and the way you see things playing out based on the way you're living right now. And if you continue to live that way, things are going to play out a certain type of way, because you're programming your future based upon what you're doing now. And in this society, they teach a reactionary, right? You're always reacting to things. For instance, you get a job because you don't have any money. Then you try to go get a better job because you want to make more money. And then 20 years from now, you look back and say, I'm not doing what I really want to do. I'm stuck. Why am I 40 or 50 years old, stuck in a situation or a circumstance where I'm not able to really express and to be able to live the life that I want to live? But had you had a thought about that when you were younger, and had you had been taught about past lives and taught about your natal chart, you would have been able to rise above and rise out of these situations. So past lives go into understanding the concept of reincarnation. Is another key term when we deal with past lives. And you live in this body, and this body is composed of the earth. And the body that you chose, the so-called race that you chose, or what I would really call the species that you chose as a human being, or even the fact that you are a human being. See, a lot of people don't want to challenge that either. The fact that even that you are a human being was based on decisions that you made in past lives, and also decisions that you made on the astral plane. You could have easily came back as a dog. See, a dog has consciousness. People try to mitigate animals and try to make animals look like they don't have experiences. A dog has vision. May not have the same type of vision as a human. A dog can see. This is why humans have been built up a bond and a connection with certain animals, because we all have an animal spirit. See, in astrology, it talks about your animal spirit. For instance, I'm a Leo lion. So my animal spirit, one of them is a lion, or even any type of cat. I'm in the cat family, or tiger maybe. Depends on, my makeup and how I go about operating and doing things. So I have what's called an animal spirit. I could have easily have been a lion in one life. So we all have different spirits in us, and the fact that you chose energetically to be a human in this species, or say for instance I'm a what you would call a melanin dominant individual, I could have easily chosen to be more of a melanin recessive individual. And there's different gifts that I would have gotten from being melanin recessive, as well as different challenges that I would receive from being melanin recessive. That's right, because in society, being melanin recessive has its perks. You can look around and see that. Being melanin dominant in this society has its challenges. But at the same time, being melanin dominant, you have certain gifts depending on how you deal with your karma and the body that you chose. So reincarnation goes into the body, but you're more than the body. And when you get deeply into spiritual practices and sciences, this is why a spiritual person cannot be racist. This is why a spiritual person cannot really be a victim, a true spiritual person. It's because they understand and understand that it's more to this life than just a vessel, beloved. This life is about energy playing itself out in motion. This life is more about emotion than it is the physical outcome. You base your life more on how you feel than you do how you look a lot of times. You may wake up in the morning and the first thing you're going to think about is not how you look, because you may look like shit. You're going to wake up in the morning and think about, how do I feel this morning? Do you feel like you had a good night's rest? Do you feel light? Do you feel heavy? See, your feelings dictate your whole reality. When you go to work, your day at work is going to be based on what? How you feel, more so than how you look. Because you're going to find out once you get into magic and understanding magic with a K, that the way that you feel is going to dictate how you look. When you feel good, you look good. You see, when you feel good, you act good. You put off a positive action out. So even if you may not have the best clothing, even though you might not have the most money, it's your attitude, beloved, is going to dictate your reality. A good attitude goes a long, long way in this society, believe it or not, in this life. I've seen homeless people with dirty and bummy, but they have the most awesome and amazing attitudes. In their life, it just seems like miracles continue to happen for them. And one day they may find themselves out of that situation of being homeless. So saying all that to say that reincarnation is based upon the body that you chose, but it's really, when you study past lives, you're studying your energy, your inner chi, and how it played out in a past life and how you got into this situation in this life. And this is what's going to dictate how you can further yourself in a future life. Now, there's three primary ways to gain past life information. Many of us get it this one way that I'm going to talk about and don't even realize it. We get it through what's called spontaneous recall. Spontaneous recall. And what spontaneous recall is that you have a dream, whether it's in a daydream, which is something that happened to you in a day. Some people have daydreams where they flash and they see a whole reality in a day. And this depends on your natal chart as to whether or not you're gifted in that. Some people have most of their dreams at night. But regardless, you have a dream. And you're wondering, how did I have this dream? Why did I look different in this dream? Why was I taking on this body in this dream? I may have been a wolf in a dream. Why was I a wolf in this dream? And you were a wolf in this dream because you may be having a past life memory, what's called spontaneous recall. And you're supposed to write down all of your dreams, because your dreams and your ability to partake in spontaneous recall is going to begin to map your past lives for you. So this is one way of gaining past life information. Second way of gaining past life information is through past life readings. Edgar Casey was a great past life reader. A person would come to his home and he would be able to go into a trance, a transcendental state, and he would be able to gain and pick up and access information based upon feeling that person's energy out about their past lives. And this is a skill that he gained from one fact, he was gifted. He was true indeed gifted, but he was also an astrologer. And this is a skill that I myself Ram Hotep was able to pick up and gain from my many lives, actually, of understanding this art and science of astrology. Because when you look at a person's natal chart, and then you're speaking with them on the phone, and even a lot of times, even before you speak with them, once you get really good, you can look at certain placements in their natal chart, and you begin to get visions once you put yourself in a trance. And there's certain points that I would look at in the natal chart to give what's called a past life reading. You see, when you want to give a good past life reading, one of the main points you want to look at is the 12th house. And I can look into a person's 12th house, and it'll tell me everything about at least their most recent past lives. Sometimes it may be the life before that one. A lot of times I can't pinpoint it, but it'll always give me good information as to why you have certain karma in this life from looking at the 12th house that came from a previous life. It always comes from a previous life. So say, for instance, when you were a child, you may have met a high school sweetheart, and you might not understand why you connected with this person at such a young age and so quickly. And your parents may, throughout the course of your life, want you to separate from this person. And you may have to distance yourself from this person. And you may wonder, and it may have been an outside influence. You may just think, well, what was that? How come I had to separate from this person? And how come I met this person? And why did I even have to go through all of that? Now I'm so hurt and bitter. It's because maybe in a past life you had a connection with this person. And maybe that event played out where you had to separate from this person in a past life. And maybe in a past life you transformed or transitioned into the next life, or AKA you were deceased or you got murked, whatever you want to call it. Or maybe that person got murked and maybe you got separated. So therefore this played out early on in this life, because this may be something that you have to correct in this life. This may be a person that you need to connect with from a past life, and you guys incarnated back together in this life. You played out that scenario, and now you have to play out a new scenario, which is reconnecting back with this person so that you can gain the past life experiences and the karmic experiences that you would have gained in the past life had you had to play that life out a different way, or had that movie went differently. So understanding the past life can get deep. You have to look at the 12th house. And I can see a vision when looking at a person's 12th house from going into a transcendental state. I was able to get the gifts of Edgar Casey. I'm honored. It's a blessing for me to have some of his gifts, and I'm getting better and better every day. Past lives is something that I'm really pretty skilled at when it comes to the natal chart aspect. Now I'm learning the third aspect now, which I'll get into in a minute. But in the natal chart aspect, even your sun sign, your sun is the seed, beloved. This is your heart. It's located in right below your heart. And there's a seed that's planted right below your heart. That's the very essence of you. This part of you has all of your makeup in this one seed of all of your past lives on Sirius and all of the different places that you've been. There's a technical term for this, and it's escaping me right now, but I've named it on other videos. But there's a technical term for this, but it's a seed that's located below your heart. And this seed has all of the different life experiences encapsulated in it. And you have a gift, an ability to be able to, at any given time, to access this seed to gain and extract information about any past life that you may have experienced in this life. So your sun sign is actually representing that seed. When you call yourself a Sagittarius in this life, though you may not have been a Sagittarius in a past life, you became a Sagittarius in this life because of all the different experiences that you've picked up. And it's like a summary based on the universe, and the universe is self-correcting. So it gives you, and it's perfect because it's self-correcting, and it gives you the perfect sign for you to be born under based upon that seed that's planted in you. So you are a Sagittarius. It's not just talking about your character, actually, when you look at the sun sign. It may play out some of your tendencies because, of course, you came back as an animated Sagittarius. So that's going to dictate a lot of your personality. But believe it or not, your personality in this life goes into the rising sign, believe it or not. But that seed is going into your subconscious makeup. A lot of times a person can't predict your sun sign because this is actually a sign that you are not so quick to show. And it's harder to get to know that seed within you. You have to dig deeper to learn about the Sagittarian aspect of yourself. So that's the seed. That's a part of your past life memory, that seed that was planted in you, and that grows and it dictates how things are going to happen to you and experiences that will happen to you, and why shamans are able to access that seed and manipulate that seed and create realities for themselves by tampering with that seed and causing that seed to grow the way they want it to grow. And when they cause that seed to grow the way they want it to grow, it creates a growth. Your life is a growth. So it creates a life that's beneficial for the experiences that you need to get. But you have to have knowledge on this. Most people don't have knowledge on this seed, and it's still growing, but it's growing wow. So your life is kind of like wow. The scenarios and situations that are happening, you have no correspondence. Things should correspond to each other. And the more things, the way to learn how to make things correspond to each other is by tapping into that seed. This is very much a part of your past life. Another thing you can look at, and I can get visions from, is from looking at your Saturn placement in your natal chart. And your Saturn placement represents your karma of what you've made in past lives, as well as your challenges in this life. So Saturn is very important. Saturn is the planet of karma. What sign your Saturn is born in will represent what generation you were born up under. See, Saturn moves into different signs every 2 years. So for that 2 years, Saturn will represent a soul group or a group of souls that are coming through up under this particular Saturn sign. And usually these group of souls share some form of karma together. So they come together in groups. When you start to understand soul groups and things of that nature, you have to look at Saturn. Many people want to know their soul group. Well, to get a little bit of understanding about it, get your natal chart done and look in your Saturn placement. And that'll tell you a lot about your soul group. But the house that it's in, beloved, will tell you more about this. That the house that it's in will tell you more about the stage that your Saturn is set on. See, your Saturn could be in the 9th house, the 11th house, the 3rd house. It's always moving. It's based on the time that you were born. So, say for instance, if you have a Saturn in the 10th house, this says that in past lives you had a strong life purpose, and you may not have fulfilled that life purpose correctly in a past life, and you came back in this life to be a public, upstanding person, and you're going to be put a lot of responsibility is going to be put on your shoulders when it comes to regulating the affairs of other people. So this may put you in government. This may put you in politics. This may make you a religious clergy person. This may make you a teacher, but it's going to make you someone of importance. You're going to have a lot of weight on your shoulders if you got Saturn in the 10th house. So that's going into, you could have had Saturn any other place, but that's going into your lot in life. And this is your task or your duty based upon what you lacked in a past life, though. That's what you got to keep in mind. You got this task or duty based upon, in this script, based upon what you didn't do in a past life or what you may have failed at. And you say, who do I fail? You failed your higher self. That's what you failed. See, life is about getting back to the higher self or getting back to the highest state. And this is not about God and all of that. Because most people, see, they want to, they believe in God because it's convenient. And they say, well, God is the reason why I'm in this situation. I can pray to God and God will help me get out this situation where I'm Hotep. I don't need to know about no past lives, whether it's true or not. God can help me get out of this scenario. Your God is your higher self, the highest part of you. The highest part of you could be a damn gremlin. The highest part of you could be a reptilian or a reptilian type of being. You may say, well, why would it be something so primitive as that? Ram Hotep, is all dependent on the cycles and when you reincarnated and where was your soul group? Where's your soul from and your soul origins? So the goal is to get back to the highest part of yourself, and only you can tell yourself that. The highest part of you may be a beast. The highest part of you may be an angel, a being of light. But you have to get back to that. And that's the goal. And there's going to be certain situations that are going to always come in and try to block you from getting back to that highest part of your higher self. Another thing we would look at is the dragon head and tail in the natal chart, Rahu and Ketu. And the dragon's head and tail in the natal chart would tell a person the tendencies that they had in the past life that they've perfected. And that's the south node. And the north node is going to tell you the tendencies or experiences that you need to gain. You don't have this already in you, but this is where you're trying to get. This is your ascension. This is what I call it, your ascension. So a lot of people, they identify with the tendencies that they've perfected. So say, for instance, you have your south node in Leo and your north node is in Aquarius. This means that you've perfected tendencies of having a lot of friends, being in a lot of groups, cooperating with people, You're very smart and intelligent and things like that, but your soul wants to now become more independent and become more of a queen or a king, and it wants to become independent and not to be a part of the group think thing, and to be more independent. This may not be something that you really are good at because of the fact that you haven't gained it. This isn't a future experience, actually. This can take you into what's called your future lives, believe it or not. So a lot of people, they go for the path of least resistance, which will be their south node, and they may just settle with what they're good at. And they may not make it to their ascension. They may decide in this life, like, yo, I just don't think I can really ascend in this life. I just want to do it what I was already born with, the gifts that I have. I'll just settle with those. So that's an aspect that I look at in this past life reading to help you with their karma. And then lastly, we can look at your credit. There's other aspects, but I can't go into all of them here because I don't want to give out my trade secrets, of course, too. But also my time is limited because I have other things to do, other videos to do as well. And the last thing that you would look at is, in this video that I'll talk about, is your credit, because I talked about your debt. So your debt comes from your 12th house, actually. This is your debt that you have in past life that you carried over. Everybody has debt. See, you made a pact with the underworld to get here. So when I look at your 12th house, I'm looking at your debt. And this is what you owe this world based upon the things that you did in a past life. So say, for instance, you may have debt with being a drug addict in a past life. You may have created a debt for yourself. So in this life, you're going to be challenged with getting on drugs. You're going to owe this world to overcome that. You're going to owe this body and your flesh to overcome. You owe your body. So you can't get away with abusing your body. Nobody gets away. You think you can. You can't get away with eating an unhealthy diet. Many people have a debt with their diet. It's right in your natal chart. And that's your debt that you owe the underworld. See, when you came here, you descended into the matters and the cares of the world. And you made a pact with Dembaluido and the Rishnagal and them. And those beings that were responsible for creating this construct called the body. And you signed a contract. You contracted to come here, getting into past lives. You may not remember this, but you did this. So you owe a debt to these beings of the underworld to take care of this body. When you don't, when you leave out of this body, they say, okay, it's just like cashing out for the day. And they say, well, you owe this amount. This is how much you owe. And this is what you've gained as far as on the credit side of things. And if your debts outweigh your credits, then you either going to come back in another body and have to play it out again, or you get a chance while you're in the realms of the astral realm to play around and manipulate the ethers so that you don't have to come back. So just because you left debt, if you master, say for instance, transcendental meditation, you can go into the higher states of consciousness. Once your soul leaves this body, you may understand that you're in another realm, because a lot of people, when they transform over, they don't remember shit about it because of the fact that they don't understand meditation and they don't understand the states outside of this body. But those people that mastered that while they were here, they could come back and play around and manipulate in this world to make things go the way it should have went based on the debts that they left. So they may have left a debt with their children. They can come back and make their children's lives better so that they don't have to come back. You see, and this is real. My grandfather was Osiris, and he was able to do this, and is able to do this. So he doesn't have to come back if he doesn't want to, because I built a connection with him. He showed me things, and always comes to me and shows me things that he left, depths that he left. This is why I start believing in past lives. And I want to give you guys an experience too that I had before I shut this video down. But he came back and he showed me depths that he left. So this is why he doesn't have to come back, because he showed me how to get out of it. Like, out of his mistakes, some of his mistakes was going to cost me in this life, which would have mean that I wouldn't have known. So what he did was he taught me how to access him. So then I started accessing him. I was able to fix some of his depths and still trying to do that. And my ability to be successful will determine as to whether or not he's going to have to come back. So this is when you're in the higher ascended master states. But for those people that don't make it, you get a chance to come back, or you may choose to come back. Everybody is not forced. You got to keep that in mind. This is an experience. This is not, even though it's hell, or how, it is hell. Yeah, we're in hell. That's right. But it's still an experience. We choose to be here. A lot, when we first came here, the first time you ever incarnated here, it was your choice. Nobody made you. You decided, like, hey, it looks fun down there, so I want to go down there and get stuck in matter and in the cares of the matters of the world, the material realm and the material aspect. And right now we just happen to be in one of the most grossest states of that material aspect. But it was your choice to come back, beloved. So that's your debt. Now you have a credit that you left. And you can analyze this. It's a few different methods. It's not just through the fifth house, but the fifth house is one of the things that we will look at to determine your credit. And this is your gifts, the good stuff that happens to you. This is why people say, for instance, a person that's lucky and they just seem to find money laying around. Maybe you were a rich person and you gave a lot in charity. Maybe you weren't even rich, and maybe you had a little bit of money in a past life, but you gave. You were a giver. You always gave people things. And you were free-hearted. This is why it karmically cycles back around for you, and you begin to find money. People that are lucky in love, and they just seem to be a ladies woman, a ladies man. I'm sorry, or a ladies woman. But they seem to be a ladies man, and they just get all the girls. They get all these opportunities. Maybe you were really good to the opposite sex. Maybe you were a good husband in a past life, and you created a lot of credit for yourself. So this is a gift, and it's still karma though, because guess what? You could abuse that gift. You could abuse that gift, and you can do negativity with that gift, and mess around and mess up your karma in a future life. So, but you do get credit on the positive side of things. Now, the last way that you can gain information about your past lives is through past life regression. And this is what I want to spend the remainder of the time talking about, my experience that I had. I put myself into a past life. I put myself into a self-stated past life regression. And at the time, I did not quite know how I did this, but later on, I figured out how to do it. But what happened with me is that I had a past life experience within a regression. And a regression is like putting yourself in a hypnosis state, for those people that don't know. And I had this past life regression CD. And this CD taught me how to put myself into a past life regressive state. And I would listen to the CD every night and meditate and do the little stuff they did, and nothing would happen. And I was like, this is bullcrap. And it seemed so basic. The stuff they were telling me to do, keep in mind, was very basic. And I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. So one night, actually it was in the midday, believe it or not, I listened to this CD, and I don't know if it was because I was more connected with the earth. I was in the basement of my house. And I don't know if it was because I was more grounded or what made me have this experience, but it was deep. And I had an experience where I was a Hindu in a past life. And I was some form of a yogi or mystic. I don't really know what I was, but I was at a celebration at an event at the time. And this was just a flash of a past life episode that I later was able to dig into and find more about. But I was at this particular party or something like that. This beautiful goddess Indian woman was dancing for me. She was a South Indian woman, and everything. I knew which part of India I was in. Don't tell me how, but in this experience, I was able to know which part of India I was in and everything. And she was a South Indian woman. She was dancing for me. She was doing like this tantric dance for me. And people that have gotten a consultation with me already probably heard the story before. And I saw her. It was so clear, and I'm like, who is this? And right before I came out of the experience and she was doing the dance, she said, I'm your twin flame, I'm your twin flame, or I'm your soulmate. And I came out of the experience. And I'm thinking, like, who in the hell was this? And at the time, I was actually with the woman. So I'm like, whoa, I'm already with the woman. What's going on? Like, is this like, I thought the woman I was with was the one for me type of thing. And this is when I first got into spirituality, too, keep in mind. Like, this is when I really first got into the real aspect of spirituality, not the religious mumbo jumbo bullcrap that a lot of people are into, but the real aspect of it where you're going into yourself and really trying to live this life. So I'm like, what's going on here? She's my soulmate. So I started to think about, well, maybe I need to be looking for her, or do I need to, am I going to meet her? So I'm kind of like getting confused about my relationship that I'm in and everything. So I kind of put it on the back burner in the back of my mind, but I always remember in the relationship that I was in didn't work out. And this was maybe back in 2006 when I had this experience. So fast forward, and you go up to 2012, I'm out of this relationship. I'm single and free. And I get an email from this particular woman. And she's telling me all of this stuff that she's going to do to herself. Like, she might kill herself. Life is hard. Just all of this stuff or whatever. Like, and she just wrote me this long email, like, out of nowhere. This was when I was already on YouTube and everything. And she signs it. And I want to say her name here because I think she still watches my channel. I was like, shout out to her. You probably heard this story too. You know who you are. So she signs it. It says, gives her name or whatever, and it's an Indian name. And I'm like, it's interesting. But I come in contact with a lot of Indians, a lot of Vedic people, so I'm not really taking too much seriousness about it. So I didn't respond back to the email. I mean, she wrote me the email, and I was so floored by, not because of what she signed, but I was so floored by what she was saying she was going to do to herself. I mean, I know as an astrologer, like, well, you should have responded back and said something to her to stop her from doing it, but I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. So I'm like, wow, I'm just not even going to respond back to this because I don't know what to tell her because it was so deep what she was going through. And I'm like, I need to speak with her and I don't want to make her pay any money. And she's all the way over in India. So I'm just not going to respond back. So fast forward, she sends another email maybe about a month later. And she wants to speak with me in a consultation. And she asked for her natal chart. And it was something about her natal chart that resonated with me. And I looked at it and I'm like, why do I feel like I remember this person? I need to speak with her. It was like a real compatible natal chart in comparison to mine. So we ended up speaking, make a long story short, and I met her on, I think it was on Skype. We spoke on Skype visually. And I don't use Skype anymore for different reasons. So, because I know a lot of people, they want to do Skype readings with me. I use GChat now. So, you want to do a video conference with me, it has to be through GChat. But, so we spoke on Skype and then we spoke again on GChat too, actually. Because we ended up getting cool. And I seen her, when I first seen her, I was shocked. Because when I finally seen her, which was in 2012, immediately recognized her. And it was that woman that I had a past life experience with when I went to my regression that I saw that said it was my twin flame in a past life or whatnot. It was her. And I was shocked. When I say shocked, I mean I was shocked to see that it was her. And I'm like, wow, how could I have saw you and I've never saw you a day of my life? And then to come to find out this woman is from India. She's from South India even right now. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, how does she look like this? And I saw her in this past life experience and she's looking the same way now. And that's when I got to really understand the past lives because I realized that she could have looked differently in a past life. That was a past life experience, but I saw her energy now. How was I able to see this person and then come in contact with her? And I have her as a witness. She'll tell you, if she was here, maybe she'll connect back with me. I have her email. I'll email her or something like that. We follow each other on Facebook, but we ended up getting cool and we're friends or whatever. And I'm not saying that we're twin flames or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm just saying here is that how was I able to see this person? She's into astrology and everything. Maybe in a past life we had a relationship together. Maybe that situation was happening when she did Tantric Dance for me. And maybe I just happened to connect with and meet her in this life. But I'm saying all that to say that's when I really began to believe in past lives. And it gets deeper than that. I mean, I got to a point where I kept doing this meditation practice and this past life regression. And I was able to figure out successfully two of my other past lives. One of them I'll tell you about. I was a religious figure that was into astrology. And the experience I learned from that, because I don't want to go too much into it, is that I really downplayed my gifts and skills in astrology in this life for religion. And I really blocked my interpretation, my ability to be a good interpreter because I was religious. I had programming running on me. And this is why in this life I'm so adamant about being non-religious. This is more Ron Potep. Like, I'm adamant about that. So you guys that may be in a religion, I'm not telling you to leave that alone. That's what you need to do for your experiences. It may be in your natal chart to be religious. But for me, I'm so adamant about being non-religious and being an artist because I realized in that life I was killed by religious people, religious hotheads that that I was trying to help, used me, set me up into a situation where I was this religious figure, and they murdered me to take over my ministry. And I knew about astrology, but I didn't really promote astrology as much as I promoted that religion. So in this life, I came to myself from that life and contacted myself and told myself that this time you need to do it and be an artist. And even if it means walking your path alone, you need to be an artist and you need to demonstrate the art of astrology in the fields of art, in the fields of film, in the fields of film, in the fields of music. See, astrology is a form of music, and you need to demonstrate and show the world this science and talk about astrology without even mentioning it a lot of times. So this is what inspired me to do this channel, and this is what inspired me to be the way that I am. It's all based on a past life experience, beloved. This is how deep this stuff gets. So you can get information about your past lives through a regression. Now I'm going to shut this video down with saying this. It's up to you, really, at the end of the day, to determine your past lives of who you were. If you sign up, I do past life readings. I'm pretty good at it. Sometimes I can even tell you who you were at times. But at the end of the day, it's up to you as a spirit to go within yourself and to determine who you were and who you are or were or are whatever in a past life, so that you can make your life now function more properly. You can get things into more of a correspondence and more synchronicity, and things like that will happen. Because I can't tell you I can give you a data reading and tell you tendencies about your past life and tell you scenarios. And usually what happens with me is I'll see a flash and a vision of maybe one scenario or maybe even two scenarios that happened to you in a past life, but you may have many scenarios that are playing out and they're coming back into this reality and they're making your reality the way that it is. And when you gain access to that, beloved, this is what happens. And this is when it gets deep and beautiful. When you gain access to that, and you learn about that situation that happened to you, you graduate in consciousness, and you, and like a lot of energies that may have been fucking with you in this life or screwing with you in this life, you graduate from those situations. And now what happens is that you create new experiences for yourself. You create a new stage for yourself just by figuring out and mastering some of those old programs and things that are running on you, some of that old karma that's running on you. So now you gain new experiences and you take yourself into a deeper version of this life. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. For more information on past life readings, please visit the link below. And until we meet again, I'll leave you in Wadu, Namaste, and Hotep. Peace out.